Every day you face resistance. It might be in the form of fear, doubt, distraction, or just the weight of not knowing where to start. Action can feel impossible, and the gap between intention and execution can seem too wide. This audiobook is about closing that gap. It is about taking control, building discipline, and learning how to move forward even when it feels uncomfortable. You will discover how to start small and create habits that stick. You will learn how to face fear with steady steps, break big goals into manageable tasks, and commit to action even when it is imperfect. You will see how focus, feedback, and accountability can turn ordinary effort into real progress. Each chapter guides you through practical strategies you can apply immediately, with insights that keep you motivated and disciplined every single day. This is not about waiting for the perfect moment. It is about understanding how momentum works, how rest and reflection keep you strong, and how consistent action compounds into meaningful results. You will learn to measure your progress honestly, adjust when needed, and keep moving forward no matter the obstacles. If you are ready to stop holding yourself back, to take responsibility for your growth, and to transform hesitation into steady, confident action, this audiobook will show you exactly how to do it. Every principle in this guide is designed to help you act, improve, and achieve. Stay with this journey, and you will learn how to do it anyway, and succeed despite resistance. Chapter 1: Start small daily actions to beat resistance and win. Starting small every day is the foundation of lasting achievement. Every monumental success begins with simple actions taken consistently. When resistance arises, it is often the size of the task that intimidates, not the task itself. By reducing effort to a manageable, almost effortless step, progress becomes inevitable. Small actions are powerful because they remove the excuse of being overwhelmed, and they give the mind a sense of mastery from the very beginning. Every completed step, no matter how tiny, builds confidence and proves that action is always possible, even when motivation is low. Resistance is not something to wait out or avoid. It is a signal that growth is nearby, and the antidote is consistent, deliberate movement forward. One small step each day compounds into remarkable change, and the brain begins to recognize effort as natural rather than exceptional. This is how momentum is created, and momentum is the most powerful tool for overcoming inertia. Resistance often appears as hesitation, procrastination, or fear. These are all signals that the mind is negotiating with itself, attempting to avoid discomfort. The truth is that discomfort is not a sign to stop, but an indicator of growth. Each small action taken in the face of resistance weakens the hold of fear and self-doubt. It is the repeated act of starting that retrains the mind to respond to resistance with action rather than avoidance. The brain is not naturally inclined to pursue difficulty, but it can be trained to associate effort with reward. Starting small is the method for building that training. When the first step is small, it feels achievable, and the brain experiences a small victory immediately. That small victory becomes a building block for larger victories over time. Practical application begins with clarity. Identify one simple action that can be performed today toward your goal. It should be so small that hesitation is minimal and commitment is almost automatic. This could be writing one paragraph if the goal is to write a book, doing 5 push-ups if the goal is to get fit, or sending one email if the goal is to advance your career. The size of the action is not a limitation, it is an intentional design to defeat resistance. The act itself is more important than perfection or immediate results. The focus is on creating a habit of action, not on achieving monumental outcomes instantly. The habit of starting, repeated daily, accumulates into real progress. Consistency is reinforced by repetition. By performing small actions each day, the brain begins to expect action as part of daily life. The nervous system adjusts to the rhythm of deliberate movement, and over time, resistance loses its intensity. The key is not to aim for heroism, but for regularity. Small wins create chemical rewards in the brain, releasing dopamine and creating a natural incentive to continue. This biological response reinforces behavior in a way that abstract motivation cannot. When action becomes predictable and habitual, it no longer feels optional, it becomes a natural part of the routine. At this point, Resistance becomes an old acquaintance rather than a formidable enemy, and it loses the ability to derail progress. The power of small actions is also rooted in their flexibility. A small step requires minimal energy and can be adapted to any circumstance. Even when life feels chaotic, a small action can always be performed. This flexibility is crucial because waiting for ideal conditions is a trap that ensures procrastination. Waiting for motivation, clarity, or perfect conditions is a subtle form of resistance. Small, deliberate actions circumvent this trap by making it impossible for external circumstances to dictate your progress. The focus shifts from conditions to execution, and this shift is transformative. Progress becomes a product of discipline rather than luck, environment, or mood. Understanding the psychological mechanics of resistance reveals why starting small is effective. Resistance is often amplified by the perception of the task as large, undefined, or intimidating. The brain interprets size as risk and risk as danger. By reducing the task to a micro-action, the perception of threat diminishes. The mind can handle a small task with confidence, and completion generates a sense of competence. Each completion rewires the mind, teaching it that action is not dangerous but rewarding. Over time, this rewiring reduces the instinct to avoid and strengthens the habit of persistence. Resistance does not vanish entirely, but it becomes manageable, predictable, and conquerable. The mind learns that it can act even under duress, and that knowledge fuels resilience. Real-world application requires specificity. Every goal, whether personal, professional, or health-related, can be broken down into its smallest actionable units. Writing a novel starts with one sentence. Preparing for a marathon starts with one run. Learning a language starts with one word. The simplicity of these initial steps ensures that the action is completed. Completion triggers progress and reduces the psychological load. Momentum builds because action precedes motivation rather than waiting for it. Motivation is unreliable, but small, consistent action is predictable. By prioritizing action over emotion, the mind develops autonomy and control. The sense of agency gained from completing even tiny actions is immensely empowering. Each small act is a declaration that resistance does not control you. Accountability reinforces small actions. Sharing intentions with others, even in a simple form, increases commitment. Announcing the completion of a single step creates a social and personal feedback loop. The fear of letting oneself or others down strengthens the resolve to act. Accountability does not need to be complex. It can be as simple as a daily note, a progress tracker, or a brief check-in with a supportive friend. The act of documenting progress makes it tangible and measurable, reinforcing the behavior and embedding it in daily life. The combination of small action and accountability compounds over time, producing results that appear almost effortless when viewed in hindsight. Small daily actions also create clarity through experience. The act of doing, even minimally, reveals obstacles, opportunities, and lessons that cannot be discovered through planning alone. Reflection after action provides insight into what works and what does not. This learning cycle is accelerated by starting small because it allows for rapid experimentation without fear of catastrophic failure. The cost of failure is minimized and the value of feedback is maximized. By taking small steps consistently, you build both practical skill and strategic understanding. The knowledge gained through action is concrete, reliable, and immediately applicable. It is a form of wisdom that only emerges from engagement rather than observation. The emotional dimension of small actions is significant. Taking even a tiny step generates a sense of accomplishment and self-respect. Action, no matter how minor, signals to the subconscious that effort is valuable and life is manageable. The act of moving forward, however slowly, counters feelings of helplessness and stagnation. Resistance thrives on hesitation and inaction, but even minimal movement disrupts its power. Emotional resilience grows because the mind begins to associate effort with reward rather than fear. Confidence increases because repeated success, no matter the scale, builds a record of reliability with oneself. Each step, however small, is a victory over inertia and fear, and the accumulation of these victories is transformative. Time management is another benefit of starting small. Small actions require minimal planning, decision-making, and mental bandwidth. This lowers the cognitive barrier to beginning, which is often the primary obstacle to action. By reducing the friction of starting, the likelihood of follow-through increases dramatically. Small actions can be completed in minutes, which encourages consistency. Even when schedules are demanding, small steps can fit into any day, reinforcing the habit of daily progress. The key is to identify actions that are simple, immediate, and aligned with long-term goals. Over time, these small steps add up, creating outcomes that were unimaginable when viewed from the perspective of a single day. The principle of compounding applies to small actions. One small action today may seem insignificant, but repeated over days, weeks, and months, it accumulates into remarkable change. Just as money compounds in a savings account, effort compounds in the human mind and body. The brain strengthens neural pathways through repetition, skills improve incrementally, and confidence builds steadily. Habits form naturally, making action automatic rather than a struggle. Small actions may feel trivial in isolation, but the sum total of consistent effort becomes the defining factor in personal growth and success. Mastery emerges not from a single heroic effort, but from the accumulation of countless small, deliberate actions. A practical framework to begin involves choosing one action, committing to it daily, tracking it, and reflecting on progress. Start by identifying the smallest possible step that moves you toward a meaningful goal. Perform it every day without exception, even when motivation is absent. Track completion to make progress tangible and create a record of achievement. Reflect briefly on what was learned or gained from the action. Adjust if necessary, but never skip the step. This framework ensures that resistance is addressed proactively and that action remains consistent, even in the face of obstacles. The simplicity of this approach guarantees that it is sustainable, scalable, and immediately effective. Environmental design can further support small actions. By arranging surroundings to reduce friction and cue desired behaviors, action becomes easier. Tools, reminders, or a dedicated space can signal readiness and remove barriers. For example, leaving workout clothes visible encourages exercise, setting up a notebook on a desk prompts writing, and keeping a language app open triggers practice. The environment reinforces the action rather than relying solely on willpower, which is limited and unreliable. By shaping conditions to favor small, achievable steps, success becomes not only possible but highly probable. This strategic use of surroundings complements the principle of starting small and creates a system that supports consistent action. Reflection and self-awareness enhance the power of small actions. Each completed step provides an opportunity to evaluate progress, recognize patterns, and adjust approach. Self-reflection ensures that actions remain aligned with meaningful goals and prevents habit from becoming mechanical or superficial. The combination of action and reflection creates a cycle of continuous improvement. By observing responses, identifying obstacles, and celebrating successes, the mind develops both clarity and resilience. Small actions without reflection can create motion without growth, but reflection ensures that each step is purposeful and contributes to long-term transformation. The act of observing oneself deepens understanding and reinforces commitment to meaningful action. Discipline is strengthened through repetition of small actions. Discipline is not the product of occasional heroism, but of regular, predictable behavior. By committing to small steps daily, the mind learns reliability, patience, and persistence. Discipline becomes an internalized structure that supports action even when circumstances are difficult or motivation is absent. The mind recognizes that commitment is not conditional on mood or energy, but is rooted in consistent practice. This form of self-mastery is essential for achieving complex goals and overcoming resistance permanently. Small actions teach the body, mind, and emotions that effort is non-negotiable and productive, establishing a foundation for lifelong growth. The long-term perspective is critical. Small daily actions may not produce immediate visible results, which can tempt the mind to abandon effort. Understanding that transformation is gradual and cumulative protects against frustration. Results are the product of repeated effort over time, not instantaneous achievement. By trusting the process and focusing on daily action, The mind develops patience, persistence, and resilience. Small steps become stepping stones to larger outcomes, and the individual becomes capable of achieving what once seemed impossible. The journey itself is part of the growth, and each action reinforces the capacity to face future resistance with confidence and composure. Finally, the act of starting small instills hope and empowerment. Each completed action demonstrates that progress is always within reach. No matter the obstacle, circumstance, or emotional state, one action is always possible. By taking this action, momentum begins, confidence builds, and resistance weakens. Over time, the accumulation of small, consistent efforts leads to mastery over fear, hesitation, and self-doubt. The principle is simple yet profound. Action conquers resistance, and small steps taken daily create the foundation for extraordinary achievement. Every day presents an opportunity to act, to move forward, and to prove to oneself that resistance does not define ability. Small actions are the gateway to mastery. They train the mind, strengthen discipline, build confidence, and create momentum. They transform fear into courage, hesitation into motion, and potential into reality. By starting small, the individual gains clarity, resilience, and power over resistance. Every morning, every hour, and every moment presents a chance to take one step, no matter how minor. That step is a victory, that step is progress, and that step is proof that growth is always within reach. Consistency, reflection, accountability, and deliberate practice convert small actions into life-changing results. The path to success is not about grand gestures or sudden inspiration. It is about taking action, starting small and never stopping. Small daily actions may seem insignificant, but their impact is profound. They teach that effort is controllable, growth is intentional, and resistance is temporary. They reinforce the habit of starting, the courage to continue, and the wisdom to observe and improve. By committing to action every day, no matter the size, mastery of resistance is possible, and meaningful transformation becomes inevitable. Each step taken today is an investment in tomorrow, and each step compounds into the life you desire. The practice of starting small daily is not merely a strategy. It is a philosophy of living intentionally, mastering oneself, and embracing the power of action in the face of resistance. The journey begins with one step. That step can be tiny, almost negligible, but it is always effective. Taking it trains the mind, strengthens resolve, and builds the rhythm of action. It is a demonstration that the self is capable, resilient, and determined. Action taken today is never wasted. It always contributes to growth, learning, and confidence. Small steps accumulate, momentum develops, and over time, resistance is diminished to a manageable level. Each day, each moment, each choice to act reinforces the principle that mastery of life begins with the courage to do what is possible, even if it is small. The discipline of starting small is a lifelong asset. It equips the individual to face challenges with composure, approach goals with clarity, and navigate resistance with confidence. Every small action compounds to create momentum, skill, confidence, and insight. The practice of deliberate, daily action transforms the ordinary into extraordinary and the possible into reality. By committing to small steps, one not only overcomes resistance but also cultivates self-mastery, resilience, and the ability to achieve meaningful growth in all areas of life. This chapter lays the foundation for the entire journey ahead, showing that greatness is built incrementally, courage is strengthened through action, and resistance is conquered one deliberate step at a time. Small daily actions are not just a tactic, they are a philosophy. They embody the principle that consistent effort is more powerful than occasional brilliance, that progress is built incrementally, and that mastery is earned through persistence. Each action reinforces confidence, diminishes fear, and creates momentum that carries forward into every area of life. By beginning small and acting consistently, you build a life defined not by hesitation but by deliberate choice, resilience, and accomplishment. Resistance is real, but it is never stronger than the steady force of daily action. The foundation of all personal growth is built on this principle, and the individual who masters it gains a profound and enduring advantage. The habit of starting small cultivates a mindset of possibility. It teaches that no matter the obstacles, No matter the internal or external resistance, action is always available. It trains the mind to recognize opportunity, prioritize effort, and value consistency. It shifts focus from fear of failure to certainty of progress. Each day becomes a chance to demonstrate capability, build confidence, and reinforce the rhythm of deliberate effort. The cumulative effect is remarkable. Skills grow, confidence deepens, and resistance becomes manageable rather than paralyzing. The mind learns that mastery is achieved not through avoidance but through consistent, intentional action. Ultimately, the act of starting small transforms identity. When action becomes habitual, it shapes self-perception. One sees oneself as capable, resilient, and persistent. This identity change reinforces future action, creating a cycle of growth that strengthens over time. Small daily actions provide tangible evidence that change is possible, that effort is effective, and that resistance is temporary. The result is not just progress toward goals, but a transformed self that approaches challenges with confidence, patience, and determination. Action, even when small, builds character, instills discipline, and cultivates resilience, creating a foundation for lifelong growth. Small actions also create opportunities for creativity and problem-solving. When the mind is engaged in consistent, manageable work, it notices patterns, identifies solutions, and uncovers possibilities that might otherwise be overlooked. Resistance diminishes because the brain is occupied with productive effort rather than speculation or fear. Each step taken generates insight, encourages experimentation, and reinforces learning. Over time, the combination of small action and attentive observation produces wisdom and mastery. The individual becomes adept at navigating obstacles, making decisions, and moving forward in a deliberate and confident manner. The simplicity of small daily actions is their strength. They require no extraordinary talent, wealth, or circumstance. They rely solely on willingness, consistency, and attention. By focusing on what is immediately possible and committing to it each day, the individual creates results that multiply beyond expectation. Resistance may challenge, but it cannot prevent progress. The method is accessible to anyone willing to act. The results are cumulative, transformative, and enduring. Starting small is the practical, sustainable, and powerful approach to mastering resistance and achieving meaningful success. Each small action reinforces purpose. When steps align with values and goals, they create direction and meaning. Momentum becomes not only physical but emotional and intellectual. Each completed action validates effort, confirms capability, and reinforces the belief that progress is inevitable. The repetition of these actions strengthens identity, enhances resilience, and fosters a sense of mastery over life itself. Through small, deliberate steps, the individual gains control, clarity, and the ability to face any challenge without being paralyzed by resistance. Small daily actions teach patience. Transformation is not instantaneous, and results emerge gradually. By acting consistently, the individual cultivates an appreciation for process, effort, and timing. Resistance is managed by understanding that growth is a series of deliberate, repeated efforts. This perspective reduces frustration and builds persistence. Over time, the individual develops a calm and disciplined approach to challenges, seeing each obstacle as an opportunity to act rather than a reason to stop. Patience becomes a natural byproduct of deliberate effort, reinforced by the tangible evidence of daily progress. In conclusion, starting small is the gateway to mastery. It is the mechanism through which resistance is overcome, confidence is built, and momentum is created. It is accessible, practical, and immediately actionable. Small steps daily build discipline, clarity, and resilience. They transform fear into courage, hesitation into action, and potential into achievement. Every day provides an opportunity to act, and every action, no matter how minor, contributes to growth and mastery. The practice of starting small lays the foundation for all personal development, providing the tools to face resistance, maintain momentum, and achieve meaningful transformation. By committing to small daily actions, the individual takes control of life, strengthens character, and creates results that compound into lasting success. Small actions are the embodiment of deliberate effort, consistency, and resilience. They teach that progress is earned, Mastery is developed, and life is navigated through intentional movement rather than waiting for inspiration. Each step, no matter how small, builds confidence, weakens resistance, and generates momentum. The accumulation of these steps transforms not only outcomes but also identity, mindset, and capability. The power of small actions lies in their simplicity, consistency, and cumulative impact. Mastery of action begins with the willingness to do something, anything, today, and then repeat it tomorrow and the day after. The compound effect of small, consistent action is extraordinary, and the individual who embraces it gains a profound advantage over fear, hesitation, and stagnation. The act of starting small is both practical and philosophical. It reflects the understanding that human growth is incremental and that the mind responds best to achievable, repeated effort. Each step taken today shapes tomorrow by building momentum, skill, and confidence. Resistance becomes manageable because the individual experiences mastery over small tasks and, in turn, gains courage to tackle larger challenges. The rhythm of Chapter 2c. Build consistent routines that create momentum and strengthen habit. Consistency is the hidden force that transforms effort into results. Momentum is not a product of random bursts of energy, but of repeated, deliberate action performed day after day. Habits are the structures that carry us forward without reliance on motivation or willpower. Without routines, progress is scattered and fragile, vulnerable to distraction, fatigue, or circumstance. Building consistent routines is about creating an environment and mindset where action flows naturally and progress is inevitable. Each repetition strengthens the connection between intention and behavior, and over time, the process becomes automatic, almost instinctive. Momentum grows because each completed routine adds a layer of energy that carries over into the next. It is a chain reaction. Once motion is established, it is easier to maintain, and the compounding effects are immense. The first step is clarity. Define the actions that matter most toward your goals. Identify what must be done daily to move the needle and simplify them into repeatable steps. Complexity is the enemy of consistency, so break tasks into the smallest effective unit. Each unit should be actionable, measurable, and capable of being completed in a single sitting. By focusing on essential actions, routines become sustainable rather than burdensome. The brain responds positively to repetition of known patterns, and simple routines reduce the decision fatigue that often undermines productivity. Once a pattern is established, energy is redirected from deciding what to do to performing the action itself, allowing effort to be focused on improvement rather than initiation. Timing is crucial in building routines. Identify windows in the day when energy and focus are naturally higher and anchor key actions to those periods. Morning routines, for example, are powerful because they set the tone for the entire day, and fewer distractions exist early in the day. Evening routines prepare the mind for rest and reflection while ensuring tasks that influence tomorrow are completed. Anchoring actions to specific times reinforces consistency by creating predictable structure. Over time, the brain associates these windows with the corresponding actions, making the routine almost automatic. Timing is not about rigidity, but about establishing a reliable rhythm that aligns with natural energy cycles and environmental conditions. Small wins within routines reinforce behavior. Each completion produces a sense of accomplishment that reinforces repetition. The psychological impact of tiny successes compounds over time, fueling motivation, focus, and self-belief. Even when results are not immediately visible, the consistent execution of routines ensures progress is occurring beneath the surface. These wins are markers of momentum, proof that effort is translating into action. Momentum itself is an emotional and cognitive phenomenon. Seeing progress encourages further progress, and the brain responds to the certainty of action with readiness to continue. Consistency creates a positive feedback loop where action produces reward, and reward encourages further action. Flexibility is an essential element in creating durable routines. Life is unpredictable, and rigid schedules often collapse under pressure. Resilient routines are designed to withstand interruptions, adapt to changing circumstances, and maintain continuity even when external conditions are challenging. Flexibility ensures that consistency is not dependent on perfection but on commitment. Missing a step does not break the pattern if the system allows for adjustment and recovery. This resilience strengthens both discipline and confidence because the individual recognizes that progress is not derailed by temporary setbacks. Routines that are both structured and adaptable create sustainable momentum and long-term habit formation. Environment plays a critical role in habit formation. Surroundings that support intended behaviors reduce friction and make action automatic. Simple changes, such as placing items where they are needed or removing distractions, reinforce routines without requiring additional willpower. Environmental cues act as triggers, reminding the mind of the next action and making repetition natural. Habits embedded in context are more durable because they rely on structured prompts rather than transient motivation. The design of physical and digital space determines how easily routines are performed and maintained. Strategic alignment of environment and habit transforms intention into action with minimal resistance. Tracking progress strengthens consistency by making results tangible. Recording completion creates accountability to oneself and a visual representation of momentum. It provides insight into patterns of success and areas requiring attention. Tracking is not about judgment but about awareness. Awareness generates data, and data informs action. The act of recording even minor progress produces a sense of satisfaction and motivates continuation. Momentum grows because the individual sees evidence of cumulative effort, reinforcing the belief that consistent action produces meaningful results. Feedback loops embedded in tracking encourage reflection, improvement, and sustained commitment to routine. Routines also conserve mental energy. Decision-making is exhausting and unplanned action relies on willpower, which is finite. Predefined routines reduce cognitive load by eliminating the need to determine the next step repeatedly. By automating essential behaviors, energy is freed for higher-level tasks, problem-solving, and creativity. The efficiency gained through routine execution allows the mind to focus on growth rather than initiation. Habitual structure produces reliability, and reliability fosters confidence in oneself. Energy is not wasted on uncertainty, and momentum becomes a natural byproduct of consistent execution. Motivation is unreliable, but routines do not require constant emotional investment. Discipline emerges from repeated execution rather than fleeting enthusiasm. Once behaviors are embedded into routine, action occurs regardless of mood, circumstance, or perceived difficulty. Momentum does not depend on feelings but on structured, repeated action. Consistent routines bridge the gap between intention and achievement because they eliminate the need to rely on external reinforcement or internal inspiration. The mind learns to act automatically and results compound steadily. Discipline, once cultivated through routines, is transferable to every area of life, reinforcing resilience, focus, and personal growth. Reflection enhances the power of routines. Periodically reviewing the actions performed, outcomes achieved, and challenges encountered provides insight for refinement. Reflection ensures that routines remain aligned with goals and values, preventing habit from becoming mechanical or meaningless. Small adjustments based on observation optimize effectiveness without disrupting momentum. The act of reflection also strengthens awareness, encourages intentionality, and deepens the understanding of cause and effect. Consistency alone is not enough. Thoughtful evaluation ensures that repeated action translates into real progress and personal development. Routines create a sense of identity. Repeated behaviors shape self-perception, instilling qualities such as reliability, discipline, and competence. The mind begins to internalize the behaviors as characteristic of the self, reinforcing future action. Performing small actions consistently is a declaration of capability and purpose, embedding the mindset of someone who follows through into identity. Identity-based routines are more durable because they are supported by self-concept rather than external pressure. Momentum becomes a reflection of character, not just circumstance, because the individual sees themselves as someone who acts consistently, regardless of resistance. Long-term success emerges from compounded routines. Each day of consistent action adds a layer of skill, knowledge, and confidence. Momentum accumulates silently, producing outcomes that may not be immediately visible but are inevitable over time. The compounding effect ensures that effort invested today magnifies into future achievement. Habits formed through repeated routines create a foundation for tackling larger challenges with greater efficiency and confidence. The principle is simple: small, deliberate actions performed consistently generate results far beyond what sporadic effort can achieve. Momentum becomes exponential because each completed routine reinforces the next, producing continuous growth. Accountability reinforces adherence to routines. Sharing progress with others, even in small ways, strengthens commitment. The act of reporting behavior introduces an external metric of responsibility that complements internal discipline. Peer support and encouragement enhance motivation and provide reinforcement for persistence. Accountability can be as simple as tracking daily tasks or discussing achievements with a trusted partner. It ensures that routines are not isolated practices but integrated into a system of support and oversight. The combination of structure, tracking, and social reinforcement maximizes the sustainability and effectiveness of routines. Routines provide stability during uncertainty. When life is unpredictable, structured habits anchor behavior, reduce anxiety, and maintain forward momentum. Consistent action creates a sense of control and reliability, even when circumstances are chaotic. The presence of dependable routines ensures that progress continues regardless of external disruptions. This stability is empowering because it allows the individual to navigate challenges without being derailed by resistance or distraction. Momentum thrives in a stable environment where action is predictable, reliable, and continuous. The process of building routines begins with commitment. Commitment to small, repeatable actions lays the groundwork for sustained growth. Consistency does not require immediate perfection, it requires persistence, patience, and deliberate choice. By starting with achievable actions and repeating them daily, the individual establishes a rhythm that compounds over time. Momentum emerges naturally from repetition, and habits strengthen through sustained engagement. The focus is not on immediate results but on reliable execution, which ultimately produces long-term impact. Each routine should be purposeful. Every repeated action should have clear alignment with goals and values. Without purpose, repetition becomes mechanical and unfulfilling. Purposeful routines produce measurable progress, reinforce identity, and cultivate resilience. Momentum grows not merely from action but from directed action, guided by meaningful intent. Aligning routines with priorities ensures that energy is invested wisely, maximizing the return on effort and strengthening the habit of disciplined execution. Consistency and reflection together produce mastery. Routine without evaluation risks stagnation, while reflection without action yields no progress. The combination ensures that every step taken builds competence, confidence, and resilience. By committing to consistent action, monitoring outcomes, and adjusting when necessary, routines evolve into powerful instruments of personal growth. Momentum becomes self-sustaining because each action reinforces capability, self-perception, and readiness for the next challenge. Discipline, confidence, and achievement are products of deliberate, repeated, and evaluated routines. Ultimately, routines transform the act of doing into a sustainable lifestyle. They provide structure, reinforce identity, conserve energy, create momentum, and build resilience. Each completed action is evidence of capability, and each repeated sequence strengthens the foundation for future growth. Momentum is not accidental, it is the outcome of disciplined, consistent effort embedded into daily life. Building routines is not about perfection, speed, or intensity, but about commitment, repetition, and reflection. The individual who masters routines gains control over resistance, cultivates enduring habits, and produces outcomes that compound steadily into meaningful, long-term success. Consistency is the invisible engine behind progress. Routines are the framework through which momentum is generated and maintained. Each deliberate action performed without reliance on motivation reinforces identity, strengthens discipline, and produces tangible results. Repetition transforms behavior from choice into habit, action into instinct, and effort into achievement. Momentum grows naturally when routines are aligned with purpose, tracked for effectiveness, and executed with deliberate attention. The mastery of routines is mastery over self, circumstance, and resistance. Every day becomes an opportunity to reinforce patterns, strengthen habit, and build unstoppable momentum toward meaningful goals. The process of embedding routines also cultivates patience and resilience. Progress is not always visible, but the repeated performance of meaningful actions ensures that growth occurs. The individual learns to trust the process, rely on structure, and act despite uncertainty. Routines provide a reliable path forward, reducing anxiety, minimizing wasted effort, and allowing focus to remain on deliberate improvement. The cumulative effect of consistent action builds competence, confidence, and momentum. Each day adds to a foundation that grows stronger, more resilient, and more capable of achieving extraordinary results. Consistency transforms intention into accomplishment. Routines bridge the gap between desire and reality by embedding action into daily life. Each repeated step strengthens momentum, reinforces identity, and produces measurable outcomes. The process is simple but profound. Deliberate, repeated, and purposeful action compounds over time. Momentum is the reward of discipline and structure, and habits are the mechanism by which progress is secured. The individual who masters routines gains a powerful advantage, turning effort into automatic action, resistance into opportunity, and potential into measurable, lasting results. Routines are not merely tasks, they are the architecture of a productive life. They structure attention, conserve energy, produce momentum, and create reliability. Each action, repeated consistently, contributes to a larger pattern of achievement and personal growth. Momentum arises naturally from repeated effort, reinforced by clarity, purpose, and reflection. The individual becomes capable of sustaining effort, adapting to challenges, and progressing toward goals with confidence. Consistency through routines is not a strategy for occasional effort, but a lifestyle that produces compounding results and mastery over resistance. The cultivation of consistent routines is a skill that can be learned, refined, and optimized. Begin by identifying high-value actions, anchor them to specific times, track performance, and reflect regularly. Adjust routines based on results, energy levels, and priorities to maintain alignment and efficiency. Momentum grows when routines are performed reliably, habits are reinforced, and reflection informs improvement. The repeated practice of consistent routines transforms effort into automatic action, builds resilience, and produces measurable progress. Over time, the accumulation of these small, structured actions becomes the cornerstone of lasting success and personal growth. Momentum is strengthened when routines are integrated into identity. Each repeated action shapes self-perception, reinforcing the belief that one is disciplined, capable, and reliable. Identity-based momentum ensures that habits are maintained because they are consistent with the individual's understanding of themselves rather than dependent on external motivation or pressure. This internalization creates resilience against resistance, environmental change, and emotional fluctuation. The individual becomes someone who acts consistently, not because of obligation, but because it reflects who they are. Momentum and growth are sustained through the alignment of action, habit, and identity. The cumulative effect of well-constructed routines is extraordinary. Small, consistent actions performed daily create patterns that compound over time into significant achievement. Discipline becomes second nature, focus improves, and resistance diminishes. The individual develops confidence, clarity, and the ability to sustain effort over the long term. Momentum is the invisible product of repeated action, and it grows stronger with each completed routine. Routines are the practical embodiment of deliberate living, showing that mastery is earned through structure, repetition, and persistence. Consistency produces freedom. By embedding essential actions into routines, the individual frees mental space for creativity, strategy, and growth. Energy is preserved for meaningful effort rather than wasted on deciding, negotiating, or resisting action. Momentum is maintained because structured habits require minimal conscious effort and produce predictable outcomes. The mind learns to rely on the rhythm of routine rather than fluctuating motivation, ensuring that progress continues regardless of circumstance. Freedom, productivity, and growth are the natural byproducts of consistent, deliberate routines. Finally, building consistent routines creates a platform for extraordinary growth. Habits, momentum, identity, and resilience all emerge from repeated, deliberate action. Each day becomes an opportunity to reinforce progress, strengthen character, and accumulate achievement. Routines transform intention into execution, potential into reality, and resistance into a manageable challenge. The long-term effect is mastery over self, circumstance, and effort, creating sustainable momentum that drives meaningful personal and professional success. Discipline, focus, and deliberate action through routines are the invisible forces that turn aspiration into accomplishment and effort into measurable, lasting results. Chapter 30. Face fear with steady steps to expand courage daily. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty, challenge, and the unknown, yet it does not have to control action or define potential. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the deliberate choice to act despite it. Each encounter with fear provides an opportunity to strengthen resolve, expand confidence, and demonstrate personal power. The process of facing fear begins with recognition and acceptance. Fear is not an enemy to be eradicated immediately, but a signal to approach growth consciously. Avoidance strengthens its grip, while steady, deliberate steps reduce its intensity and transform it into a guide for development. Every small act of courage compounds over time, reshaping perception, increasing resilience, and building a foundation for sustained personal growth. Begin by identifying specific fears and clarifying their nature. Knowing what is truly feared distinguishes real risk from imagined threat. Often, fear is amplified by assumptions, overgeneralizations, or uncertainty. By breaking down fear into tangible components, the mind can address it strategically rather than reactively. Once the source of fear is identified, action can be designed to confront it incrementally. Small, controlled exposure to what is feared diminishes its power and strengthens confidence. Courage is cultivated through practice, repetition, and incremental achievement. Facing fear daily, even in minor ways, reinforces the understanding that discomfort is temporary and capability is enduring. Action is essential in the presence of fear. Thought alone rarely diminishes its effect. Each intentional step into the discomfort zone teaches the mind that fear is manageable. These actions do not have to be dramatic. They must be consistent, deliberate, and measurable. Initiating a conversation, taking responsibility for a challenging task, or expressing a difficult opinion are all practical examples of courage in daily life. Each choice to act provides tangible evidence of strength, resilience, and self-efficacy. Momentum is built through repeated action, and the cumulative effect is a profound increase in confidence and capability. Fear becomes a compass rather than a cage when met with consistent, deliberate steps. Preparation enhances the effectiveness of courageous action. Planning a sequence of small, deliberate steps toward confronting fear reduces the likelihood of being overwhelmed. Each step should be specific, achievable, and designed to challenge but not paralyze. Over time, the repeated practice of confronting fear in measured doses strengthens neural pathways associated with resilience, decision-making, and confidence. Anticipating potential obstacles and visualizing successful navigation equips the mind with strategies for facing real-world challenges. Preparation does not eliminate fear, but it equips the individual with the tools to act decisively despite its presence. Emotional regulation is a key component of facing fear. Fear often triggers physiological responses, racing heart, shallow breathing, tension, that can inhibit rational thought and action. By developing techniques to regulate these responses, such as controlled breathing, mindful observation, and focused attention, the individual retains clarity and composure. Recognizing that these sensations are natural and temporary allows action to proceed without paralysis. Courage is not a sudden surge of emotion, but a deliberate choice maintained through disciplined attention to both thought and body. Each encounter with fear strengthens the ability to act calmly under pressure, reinforcing confidence and expanding the comfort zone over time. Reflection after facing fear consolidates learning and reinforces progress. After each courageous act, take time to evaluate what was accomplished, what was learned, and how future encounters might be approached differently. Reflection transforms experience into insight, building understanding of personal strengths, triggers, and areas for improvement. Each act of courage, however small, provides evidence that fear can be confronted and managed. This evidence strengthens self-belief and reduces the perceived magnitude of future fears. Reflection converts action into wisdom, ensuring that courage is both habitual and strategic rather than sporadic or reactive. Accountability can amplify the practice of facing fear. Sharing intentions, progress, and results with trusted individuals creates social reinforcement and encourages follow-through. Accountability ensures that actions are not isolated and that consistency is maintained. External observation adds motivation and a sense of responsibility, enhancing the likelihood of courageous engagement. Supportive partnerships or communities provide guidance, feedback, and encouragement, further reinforcing the capacity to act despite fear. Collective reinforcement strengthens individual courage and maintains momentum through periods of doubt or hesitation. Courage is cultivated incrementally, beginning with manageable challenges and progressively addressing more complex fears. This graduated approach prevents overwhelm and maximizes confidence building. Tackling small fears daily accumulates into the capacity to confront larger fears effectively. Each success reinforces the belief that action is possible, while each step into discomfort expands tolerance for uncertainty and challenge. Courage is learned through experience, and incremental progression ensures that mastery is sustainable, practical, and applicable across different areas of life. Momentum grows as repeated actions reinforce both skill and self-perception. Perspective is essential when confronting fear. Recognizing that fear is a temporary state rather than a permanent condition allows the mind to act with clarity and purpose. Situations that provoke anxiety or hesitation are often far less threatening than they feel in anticipation. Shifting focus from potential loss or failure to potential growth and learning transforms fear into opportunity. Courageous action reframes challenges as a mechanism for self-development rather than a threat to safety or identity. This perspective empowers action, strengthens resilience, and reduces the emotional hold of fear over time. Courage develops through discipline and consistency. The repeated choice to act in spite of fear trains the mind, body, and emotions to respond with steadiness rather than avoidance. Over time, courageous behavior becomes habitual, and the threshold for fear tolerance increases. The individual no longer relies on fluctuating motivation but on practiced patterns of deliberate action. Daily engagement with fear, even in small ways, creates an internal rhythm of resilience, ensuring that hesitation is diminished, confidence is enhanced, and opportunities for growth are maximized. Self-compassion enhances the practice of facing fear. Recognizing that fear is a universal human experience reduces self-criticism and encourages persistence. Mistakes, failures, or perceived shortcomings in the process of confronting fear are not signs of weakness, but evidence of effort and engagement. Compassion allows the individual to maintain momentum despite setbacks, ensuring that courage is reinforced rather than diminished. Each compassionate response to oneself strengthens resolve, maintains consistency, and fosters an enduring capacity to act despite discomfort. Visualization and mental rehearsal amplify courage. By imagining the process of confronting fear successfully, the mind prepares for action, reducing uncertainty and enhancing confidence. Mental rehearsal creates familiarity with the sensations, challenges, and decisions involved, making real-world execution more manageable. Combined with incremental action, visualization strengthens neural pathways associated with resilience, problem-solving, and decision-making. The practice of imagining successful engagement transforms fear from an unpredictable obstacle into a manageable challenge. Fear, when faced deliberately, becomes a tool for growth. Each encounter expands the capacity for courage, increases self-efficacy, and reinforces resilience. The mind learns that discomfort does not signal failure, but indicates opportunity for development. Gradual exposure, reflection, and disciplined action convert fear into a predictable element of the growth process. Momentum builds because each step confirms capability, reduces apprehension, and strengthens identity as someone who acts decisively despite uncertainty. Courage is reinforced through repetition. Each successive act, no matter how small, compounds previous achievements. Confidence grows because the mind accumulates evidence of consistent action. Skills associated with resilience, decision-making, and emotional regulation strengthen over time. The cumulative effect is a transformation of both perception and capacity. Fear no longer dictates behavior, and action becomes habitual. Daily engagement with fear ensures that courage is cultivated systematically rather than sporadically. Daily challenges provide continuous opportunities to expand courage. Ordinary tasks, speaking up, making decisions, setting boundaries, confronting uncertainty, serve as training grounds for deliberate action. Each encounter, even minor, contributes to the accumulation of experience, skill, and confidence. Courage is not reserved for extraordinary circumstances, but is developed through the habitual choice to act in the face of routine discomfort. Over time, these consistent, intentional choices create an identity of resilience, self-mastery, and capability. Ultimately, courage emerges through deliberate, steady action. Fear is not eliminated but rendered manageable, predictable, and usable as a guide for growth. Each daily step taken to confront discomfort, challenge assumptions, or face uncertainty builds capacity, confidence, and momentum. The practice of facing fear systematically transforms perception, strengthens resilience, and reinforces identity as someone capable of acting decisively despite internal and external obstacles. Courage becomes not a fleeting emotion but a skill, habit, and defining characteristic, forged through repetition, reflection, and consistent engagement with the uncomfortable. Facing fear in measured, steady steps is both a practical strategy and a philosophy of growth. Each step, no matter how small, builds evidence of capability. Momentum emerges naturally as confidence accumulates through repeated engagement. The mind learns to associate fear with opportunity rather than paralysis. Each act of courage strengthens identity, expands capacity, and fosters resilience. Over time, courage is no longer occasional but consistent, no longer reactive but deliberate. It becomes the natural response to challenge, uncertainty, and resistance, ensuring that progress continues and personal growth accelerates steadily. Courage is cultivated, reinforced, and mastered through daily action. Each encounter with fear, approached with clarity, preparation, and reflection, strengthens self-efficacy and resilience. Small, repeated steps transform fear into a predictable, manageable, and productive force. Momentum is generated as each act compounds into greater confidence and capability. The practice of deliberate engagement with fear creates a stable foundation for facing challenges, making decisions, and pursuing meaningful growth without hesitation. Fear becomes a signal rather than a barrier, guiding deliberate, courageous action that produces continuous improvement and personal mastery. Each deliberate act of courage shifts identity, perception, and capacity. Fear, once overwhelming, becomes a tool for self-development. Repetition reinforces confidence, reflection consolidates learning, and steady action expands capability. Momentum emerges naturally, and courage becomes habitual, reliable, and sustainable. The process transforms both daily life and long-term potential, creating an individual who is prepared to act decisively, adapt to uncertainty, and pursue meaningful growth consistently. Mastery of courage is achieved not through avoidance but through deliberate, incremental, and continuous engagement with fear, reinforcing the principle that strength is cultivated through action, reflection, and persistence. Chapter 4: Create clear goals and break them into tiny tasks. Clarity is the foundation of progress. Without clear goals, effort dissipates, energy is wasted, and momentum is impossible to maintain. Goals act as a compass, directing attention, guiding decisions, and providing measurable outcomes. They transform vague ambition into actionable purpose. Creating goals begins with specificity. Define precisely what is desired and why it matters. Understanding the underlying motivation ensures that the goal carries personal significance, which strengthens commitment and perseverance. When goals are meaningful, the mind prioritizes effort, and resistance becomes easier to overcome. Clarity transforms intention into direction and establishes a framework for deliberate action. Once a goal is defined, breaking it into smaller, manageable tasks is essential. Large objectives can overwhelm the mind, creating procrastination and doubt. Dividing goals into actionable steps reduces complexity and provides a clear path forward. Each small task is achievable, measurable, and designed to produce tangible progress. The cumulative effect of completing these tasks builds confidence and sustains momentum. Breaking goals into pieces allows focus on immediate actions rather than distant outcomes, ensuring that progress is continuous and consistent. The brain responds to visible results, reinforcing behavior and establishing a habit of deliberate execution. Prioritization enhances goal effectiveness. Not every task carries the same impact, and understanding which actions will generate the greatest forward movement is crucial. Identify high, leverage tasks and sequence them to maximize efficiency. Completing high-impact tasks early reinforces momentum, provides psychological satisfaction, and produces measurable results that encourage further action. Prioritization ensures that effort is directed toward outcomes that matter most, reducing wasted energy and increasing the likelihood of achieving meaningful objectives. Thoughtful sequencing also prevents burnout by balancing challenging actions with simpler, supportive steps. Visualization strengthens goal clarity. Imagining the desired outcome vividly helps anchor motivation and focus. When the mind can perceive success clearly, it becomes easier to identify the specific actions required to achieve it. Visualization transforms abstract aspirations into concrete objectives, aligning effort with intention. By mentally rehearsing each small task, the brain prepares for execution, reduces uncertainty, and increases confidence. This practice enhances readiness, ensuring that action is deliberate and effective rather than tentative or distracted. Clarity of vision and clarity of steps together create a roadmap that the mind can follow with precision and determination. Setting deadlines is critical for accountability. Open-ended goals lack urgency, allowing procrastination to undermine effort. Assigning specific time frames for completing each task creates pressure that fosters focus, prioritization, and consistent progress. Deadlines transform intention into actionable commitment, reinforcing discipline and ensuring that momentum is maintained. They create structure, guiding decision-making and daily behavior toward the most productive path. Combined with breaking goals into smaller tasks, deadlines make large objectives approachable and measurable, producing continuous reinforcement and tangible achievement. Tracking progress provides insight and maintains motivation. Recording the completion of tasks, milestones, and incremental achievements creates a visual representation of progress. This visibility reinforces commitment, validates effort, and encourages continuation. Tracking highlights both accomplishments and areas requiring adjustment, allowing for strategic refinement. The process generates feedback that informs future planning, ensuring that goals remain relevant, aligned, and achievable. Momentum is amplified when each completed task produces a sense of progress and satisfaction, reinforcing the habit of deliberate action. Flexibility ensures that goals remain attainable under changing circumstances. Life is unpredictable, and rigid adherence to a plan can lead to frustration and stagnation. Adjusting tasks, timelines, or methods while maintaining focus on the overall objective preserves continuity and prevents discouragement. Flexibility allows the individual to respond to obstacles without abandoning progress. By embracing adaptability, goals become resilient, sustaining momentum and encouraging persistence despite challenges. This balance between structure and responsiveness ensures that effort continues to produce results regardless of external disruptions. Breaking goals into tiny tasks reduces the mental barrier to starting. The act of beginning is often the most difficult part of progress. Small, clearly defined tasks minimize hesitation by making action feel achievable and immediate. Each completed task reinforces confidence, validates effort, and encourages further action. The psychological impact of small wins is powerful, producing a sense of capability and control. By starting with manageable steps, the individual ensures that progress is continuous, momentum is established, and fear of failure is minimized. Clarity of action empowers decisive engagement, transforming intention into results. Alignment with values enhances the meaningfulness of goals. Objectives that resonate with personal beliefs, priorities, and aspirations create intrinsic motivation. When goals reflect what is truly important, effort becomes self-reinforcing and resistance is reduced. Actions are no longer burdensome but intentional, guided by purpose and significance. Aligning tasks with values strengthens commitment, sustains energy, and produces outcomes that enhance fulfillment and personal growth. The combination of clarity, actionable steps, and alignment ensures that every effort contributes to meaningful, long-term progress. Reflection and evaluation are necessary for optimizing goal achievement. Periodically reviewing objectives, tasks, and results provides insight into effectiveness, efficiency, and alignment. Reflection identifies obstacles, highlights strengths, and informs necessary adjustments to strategy. It transforms repetitive action into deliberate improvement, ensuring that effort produces real growth rather than mere motion. Evaluating progress reinforces accountability, maintains focus, and strengthens the connection between intention and outcome. Momentum is maintained when reflection informs action, creating a cycle of continuous, measurable improvement. Consistency in performing small tasks leads to cumulative impact. Each completed step adds to the total progress, producing a compounding effect that accelerates results over time. By focusing on incremental achievement rather than attempting large leaps, the individual reduces risk of overwhelm and failure. Daily engagement reinforces skill, confidence, and understanding. Momentum is generated naturally as each task contributes to tangible progress. The accumulation of small, deliberate actions establishes a foundation for long-term accomplishment and personal mastery. Commitment is strengthened through accountability. Sharing goals, tasks, and progress with trusted individuals creates a system of reinforcement and support. Accountability encourages follow-through, sustains discipline, and provides feedback that enhances effectiveness. Social reinforcement magnifies the psychological impact of small achievements, creating additional motivation to continue. It ensures that progress is visible and recognized, reinforcing behavior and establishing a pattern of deliberate action. Momentum is amplified when effort is observed, celebrated, and guided within a framework of support. Goals should be reviewed and refined regularly. Life circumstances, priorities, and opportunities change, and goals must adapt accordingly. Periodic assessment ensures continued relevance, feasibility, and alignment with desired outcomes. Adjustments to tasks, timelines, or objectives maintain momentum by preventing stagnation or misalignment. Reflection combined with refinement ensures that every action remains purposeful, effective, and connected to broader aspirations. Continuous improvement of goals and tasks reinforces clarity, strengthens commitment, and enhances the probability of success. Visualization of incremental success enhances motivation. Imagining the completion of small tasks provides immediate reinforcement, making effort feel attainable. Mental rehearsal of each step reduces uncertainty and increases confidence, preparing the mind to act decisively. Visualization complements action by providing clarity, focus, and anticipation of results. It ensures that every task, however minor, contributes to a coherent, achievable path toward the overarching goal. Daily review ensures tasks are actionable and prioritized. Beginning each day with a clear understanding of what must be accomplished eliminates ambiguity, reduces procrastination, and enhances focus. Reviewing tasks provides the opportunity to adjust for changing circumstances, set priorities, and prepare for challenges. Momentum is maintained because each day begins with direction, clarity, and intention, ensuring that progress continues steadily toward the goal. Incremental achievement strengthens identity. Completing small, consistent tasks reinforces self-perception as capable, disciplined, and persistent. Each step becomes evidence of commitment and ability, reshaping the mind's expectations for future performance. Identity-based reinforcement encourages further action as behavior aligns with self-concept. Over time, the individual develops a natural tendency to act decisively, sustaining momentum and expanding capacity. Focus enhances the effectiveness of task completion. Attention directed toward one action at a time ensures quality, reduces error, and maximizes impact. Multitasking disperses energy and reduces efficiency. By concentrating on individual tasks within the framework of larger goals, progress is measurable, deliberate, and meaningful. Each completed step reinforces both confidence and competence, amplifying motivation to continue. Creating clear goals and breaking them into tiny tasks transforms abstract aspirations into practical, manageable, and achievable actions. The combination of specificity, prioritization, visualization, accountability, reflection, and incremental execution produces momentum, builds confidence, and strengthens self-efficacy. Each task performed contributes to tangible progress, demonstrating capability and reinforcing identity. By committing to clear goals and structured action, the individual establishes a framework for continuous growth, deliberate achievement, and sustainable personal development. This practice ensures that effort is directed, consistent, and effective, producing results that compound over time and generate meaningful, lasting transformation. Clarity, structure, and deliberate action provide the foundation for every success. Breaking goals into manageable tasks reduces overwhelm, increases confidence, and transforms resistance into opportunity. Momentum builds as each small step is completed, reinforcing capability and sustaining effort. Over time, these incremental actions produce exponential results, shaping both outcomes and identity. The process converts ambition into accomplishment, uncertainty into direction, and potential into measurable achievement. By consistently creating clarity and translating goals into tangible tasks, the individual gains control over action, focus, and progress, establishing a system that ensures continuous, meaningful growth and personal mastery. Chapter 50: Commit to imperfect action and improve through doing. Action is the engine of growth, and waiting for perfection only delays progress. Waiting for every condition to be ideal, every skill to be flawless, or every detail to be complete ensures that little is accomplished. Committing to imperfect action allows momentum to begin, learning to occur, and opportunities to be seized. Each attempt provides feedback, uncovers gaps, and produces insights that cannot be gained from planning alone. Improvement emerges from engagement, not from hesitation. The process of doing, observing, and refining creates a cycle that strengthens capability and builds confidence, demonstrating that progress is rarely linear but always accumulative. The fear of making mistakes often paralyzes action. Recognizing that mistakes are inevitable, natural, and valuable reframes them as essential tools for growth. Imperfect action produces information, experience, and evidence that guide future effort. Each error exposes assumptions, highlights areas for adjustment, and teaches practical lessons that theory cannot provide. Learning by doing transforms abstract knowledge into applied skill. The mind begins to understand that waiting for certainty is counterproductive, while engaging with imperfection cultivates competence, resilience, and resourcefulness. Starting before mastery develops courage and skill simultaneously. Action taken without full confidence strengthens decisiveness and builds adaptability. Each step into the unknown teaches how to navigate uncertainty and reveals strategies that succeed in real-world conditions. Experience gained through imperfect action accelerates learning far beyond observation or planning alone. Incremental refinement occurs naturally when steps are taken consistently, and the accumulation of these steps produces measurable improvement. Confidence grows as capability is demonstrated repeatedly through engagement rather than contemplation. Iteration is a key principle of improvement. Every imperfect attempt offers an opportunity to adjust, refine, and optimize future performance. Rather than striving for flawless execution, focus on completing the action and analyzing the results. Each repetition informs the next, creating a process of continuous enhancement. Momentum emerges because action produces feedback, and feedback guides further action. Perfection is not the prerequisite for movement, it is the product of persistent engagement and deliberate adjustment. Action reduces overthinking. Mental analysis without application often leads to indecision, procrastination, and self-doubt. Committing to imperfect action interrupts cycles of hesitation by generating tangible experience. Once action occurs, the mind receives real data rather than speculative scenarios, allowing practical judgment and insight to develop. Doing transforms abstract plans into concrete results, revealing what works, what fails, and how to improve. Each effort, regardless of its initial quality, strengthens decisiveness and encourages further engagement. Consistency matters more than flawlessness. Daily action, even if imperfect, compounds into significant growth over time. Each completed attempt builds skill, reinforces habit, and strengthens confidence. Momentum accumulates because repeated engagement reduces resistance to action, familiarizes the mind with challenges, and enhances problem-solving abilities. Perfection is an unrealistic standard that often delays or prevents progress, while commitment to action ensures steady, sustainable advancement. Growth occurs not in ideal conditions but through regular, imperfect execution. Focus on outcomes rather than judgment. Evaluating action solely through the lens of quality can inhibit progress. Instead, assess whether the effort moves toward the intended objective and produces learning. Imperfect execution that yields insight, adaptation, and progress is valuable. Each attempt demonstrates what works, what fails, and what can be refined. Progress is measured in forward motion, not flawless performance. This mindset encourages resilience, reinforces self-efficacy, and maintains momentum despite uncertainty or initial imperfection. Action cultivates practical skill and understanding. Concepts, knowledge, and planning provide guidance, but real competence develops through engagement. Each attempt exposes nuances, subtleties, and challenges that theory cannot capture. The act of doing illuminates context, reveals limitations, and refines technique. Improvement becomes measurable because effort produces observable results. Skills are strengthened through experience, and confidence grows in proportion to repeated engagement. Imperfection becomes a natural component of mastery rather than a barrier to action. Time invested in action produces exponential returns. Each step, even if flawed, contributes to overall competence, understanding, and progress. Waiting for ideal conditions wastes opportunities, while imperfect attempts generate experience that cannot be simulated or imagined. Momentum is created as effort compounds, and each action reinforces the possibility of improvement. Progress accelerates when consistent engagement is prioritized over hesitation or perfectionism. The individual who acts consistently, even imperfectly, gains a cumulative advantage over those who wait indefinitely for ideal execution. Feedback is amplified through imperfect action. Observing outcomes of real effort produces valuable insights that theory or planning cannot provide. Adjustments informed by experience are precise, practical, and actionable. Each cycle of attempt, observation, and refinement strengthens skill and understanding. The process builds confidence, demonstrates capability, and reinforces the mindset that action precedes mastery. Imperfect engagement transforms uncertainty into clarity, hesitation into decisiveness, and potential into demonstrable results. Small steps create a foundation for larger achievements. Imperfect action does not require grand effort. It begins with manageable, deliberate tasks that are completed consistently. Each small success reinforces belief in capability and reduces fear of failure. Momentum is established because each step produces a tangible result that encourages continued effort. The accumulation of minor actions leads to significant transformation over time, illustrating that consistent engagement outweighs delayed perfection in producing meaningful outcomes. Self-compassion supports continued engagement despite imperfection. Recognizing that all effort is part of a learning process reduces self-criticism and strengthens persistence. Flaws, errors, and incomplete execution are not indicators of inadequacy, but markers of growth. Compassion allows recovery, reflection, and adjustment without losing momentum. The mindset of learning through doing encourages experimentation, innovation, and adaptive thinking, ensuring that action continues despite discomfort or initial mistakes. Adaptability strengthens results derived from imperfect action. Plans rarely unfold exactly as expected, and the willingness to adjust based on observation ensures continued progress. Imperfection reveals gaps and opportunities that rigid adherence to idealized execution would overlook. Flexibility allows the individual to respond to challenges effectively, maintain momentum, and refine methods. Improvement emerges naturally as the mind integrates feedback, corrects course, and iterates toward better outcomes. Action fosters confidence and self-efficacy. Each successful step, however imperfect, provides evidence of capability. The accumulation of these experiences creates a foundation of belief in one's ability to handle challenges. Confidence grows not from theoretical knowledge, but from demonstrated competence. Momentum is reinforced because the individual recognizes that effort produces tangible results, and repeated action strengthens trust in personal judgment and skill. Imperfect action becomes a training ground for resilience, courage, and mastery. Engagement accelerates learning. The act of attempting, analyzing, and adjusting produces insight that is both practical and enduring. Learning through doing integrates knowledge into experience, ensuring that lessons are internalized and transferable. Imperfect execution catalyzes growth by revealing real-world challenges, highlighting effective strategies, and identifying areas for improvement. Continuous engagement produces skill, understanding, and confidence far faster than delayed or theoretical preparation. Commitment to action reduces the fear of failure. Repeated attempts, regardless of flawlessness, normalize the process of experimentation and adjustment. The mind becomes accustomed to the idea that progress comes from engagement rather than perfection. Risk is reframed as opportunity, and hesitation diminishes because action is valued over inaction. Momentum is sustained because the individual perceives every effort as productive, even if initial outcomes are incomplete or imperfect. The combination of imperfect action, reflection, and iteration produces mastery. Each step informs the next, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of learning, adaptation, and growth. The individual develops resilience, skill, and confidence through consistent engagement. Momentum accumulates as each attempt builds upon prior experience, demonstrating that deliberate action, even when flawed, is the path to competence and achievement. Progress becomes tangible, measurable, and sustainable because it is rooted in consistent practice rather than delayed perfection. Imperfection is a natural and necessary component of growth. Committing to action despite flaws transforms hesitation into momentum, fear into courage, and potential into accomplishment. Each effort produces insight, skill, and confidence, creating a compounding effect over time. The individual who acts decisively, learns from experience, and refines approach continuously grows, achieving goals that would remain unattainable if delayed by the pursuit of perfection. Mastery emerges from engagement, persistence, and the courage to act despite uncertainty, proving that imperfect action is not a limitation but the mechanism of meaningful achievement. Each attempt, no matter how imperfect, builds a foundation for progress. The cumulative effect of repeated action, reflection, and adjustment creates momentum that accelerates achievement. Learning is embedded in experience, skill develops through practice, and confidence grows through evidence of capability. Imperfect action produces results, strengthens identity, and reinforces the mindset necessary for sustained growth. The process transforms hesitation into habit, uncertainty into skill, and ambition into accomplishment. Consistent engagement, despite imperfection, is the practical path to mastery, resilience, and meaningful success. Chapter 6: Practice focus by removing distractions and choosing priority. Focus is the ability to direct attention deliberately toward what matters most while filtering out distractions that dilute energy and slow progress. Attention is a finite resource, and every interruption or diversion reduces the effectiveness of effort. Choosing priority means understanding which tasks, actions, and commitments produce the greatest impact toward goals and personal growth. Practicing focus begins with awareness of where time and energy are being spent. Observing patterns of distraction, identifying triggers that break concentration, and recognizing habitual behaviors that scatter effort are the first steps in reclaiming control over attention. Clear priorities combined with deliberate focus allow action to be concentrated where it produces the most meaningful results. Distractions often appear as urgent but low-value demands. Social media, notifications, unplanned interruptions, and mental chatter can fragment attention without notice. To practice focus, these disruptions must be minimized or eliminated. Turning off alerts, setting boundaries with colleagues or family, and creating environments conducive to concentration are practical steps. Even temporary removal of distractions produces measurable improvement in task execution, efficiency, and quality of output. A structured environment allows the mind to engage deeply with priority work, creating momentum and building the habit of sustained attention. Choosing priority requires clarity about long-term goals and immediate objectives. Not all tasks are equally important, and energy directed toward trivial actions produces minimal return. By evaluating tasks according to their contribution to meaningful outcomes, attention can be concentrated on high-leverage activities. Daily review of objectives ensures that focus aligns with priorities, preventing wasted effort on less important matters. Prioritization transforms scattered energy into purposeful action, ensuring that each effort contributes directly to progress and achievement. Time management supports focused action. Allocating dedicated periods to high-priority tasks minimizes the influence of distraction. Blocking uninterrupted intervals allows deeper engagement and enhances quality of work. Even brief periods of concentrated effort produce disproportionately higher results than scattered attention. Scheduling these blocks with intention reinforces discipline, establishes structure, and signals the mind that certain activities deserve full attention. Over time, these deliberate practices strengthen focus and cultivate a habit of working efficiently on what matters most. The mind benefits from defined boundaries. Multitasking reduces cognitive efficiency, increases error rates, and fragments mental energy. Choosing a single task at a time allows full engagement and produces more meaningful outcomes. Completion of one focused task generates momentum that carries into the next, creating a chain of productive action. Each successfully completed high-priority task reinforces self-discipline, strengthens confidence, and demonstrates the power of concentrated effort. Focused execution, repeated consistently, develops skill, clarity, and sustained progress toward meaningful goals. Clarity of intention enhances focus. Knowing why an action matters and what it contributes to overall objectives improves attention and reduces susceptibility to distraction. Intentionality creates mental alignment between effort and purpose, ensuring that energy is directed toward impactful tasks. Without a clear sense of priority, the mind oscillates between competing impulses, reducing efficiency and slowing growth. Practicing deliberate choice over attention strengthens control over mental resources and reinforces the habit of working with intention rather than reaction. Discipline is essential in maintaining focus. Initial attempts may be challenged by habitual distraction, but persistent application of rules, boundaries, and strategies produces improvement. Over time, resisting distractions becomes natural and concentration strengthens. Discipline allows engagement with priority tasks even when motivation is low, fatigue is present, or competing demands are tempting. Momentum grows as consistent focus produces tangible results, demonstrating that deliberate attention is more valuable than scattered effort in achieving meaningful outcomes. Eliminating digital distractions is critical in modern life. Devices, notifications, and constant connectivity fragment attention. Turning off non-essential alerts, limiting access to social media during work periods, and establishing boundaries with digital communication channels enhance focus. These practices reduce cognitive load and free mental space for high-priority action. A controlled digital environment allows energy to flow toward objectives rather than being dispersed by trivial interruptions. Environment shapes the ability to maintain focus. A quiet, organized, and minimally distracting workspace enhances concentration. Removing visual clutter, optimizing lighting, and arranging necessary materials within reach support sustained attention. Environmental cues signal the brain that certain periods are dedicated to focused work, creating a psychological condition conducive to deep engagement. The surrounding context reinforces habits of attention, reduces the likelihood of deviation, and strengthens the ability to maintain prolonged concentration. Mindfulness supports focused action. Awareness of thoughts, impulses, and mental wanderings allows redirection of attention to chosen priorities. Recognizing when concentration drifts and consciously returning focus to the task at hand strengthens mental control. Mindfulness practices such as brief meditation, controlled breathing, or intentional observation of thoughts train the brain to sustain attention and reduce susceptibility to distraction. Regular practice builds resilience, clarity, and the ability to maintain focus under pressure. Chunking tasks enhances the ability to maintain attention. Breaking work into manageable segments prevents overwhelm, sustains energy, and provides measurable milestones. Each completed segment produces a sense of accomplishment that reinforces continued engagement. Chunking also allows the mind to maintain clarity of focus by reducing the cognitive load associated with large or complex tasks. Small, deliberate steps create a rhythm of action, reinforce discipline, and produce momentum that drives progress toward overall objectives. Choosing priorities strengthens decision-making. Evaluating tasks based on importance and impact reduces wasted effort and ensures energy is applied effectively. A clear hierarchy of action allows swift, confident choices about where attention should be directed at any given moment. Prioritization eliminates indecision, prevents procrastination, and maintains momentum. The mind becomes oriented toward outcomes that matter most, and repeated practice strengthens both judgment and efficiency in selecting tasks that produce meaningful results. Reflection enhances focus. At the end of each day or task, reviewing what was achieved, what distracted attention, and what could be improved reinforces learning. Reflection identifies patterns of inefficiency, highlights effective strategies, and informs future decisions about where attention should be directed. This process ensures that focus is not left to chance but cultivated intentionally, producing continual improvement in the ability to concentrate on high-priority work. Energy management is essential for sustained focus. Attention is more effective when physical, mental, and emotional energy are supported. Adequate rest, nutrition, hydration, and short restorative breaks enhance concentration. Recognizing natural peaks in alertness and scheduling high-priority work during these periods maximizes efficiency. Momentum is maintained when energy is managed consciously, ensuring that focus is sustained and effort is productive. Single tasking strengthens both skill and attention. Focusing on one task at a time allows deeper engagement, fewer errors, and more meaningful results. Completion of one high-priority task before moving to the next produces momentum and a sense of accomplishment. The habit of concentrated action builds competence, reduces mental fatigue, and reinforces the practice of deliberate, purposeful work. Repetition of single, task focus transforms attention into a reliable tool for achieving objectives efficiently. Boundaries with others support sustained attention. Communicating availability, minimizing interruptions, and establishing clear expectations with colleagues, friends, and family preserves focus. Social discipline allows engagement with priority work while maintaining necessary relationships. Respect for personal boundaries reinforces self-discipline, strengthens commitment to goals, and ensures energy is directed toward impactful actions rather than reactive obligations. Long-term results are produced through consistent application of focus. Practicing attention management, eliminating distractions, and choosing priority tasks develops habits that compound over time. Momentum is generated as repeated high-quality engagement produces measurable outcomes, reinforces discipline, and strengthens confidence. Focus becomes a skill that the individual can apply across contexts, allowing sustained growth and achievement. Attention is a tool, and priority is the guide. Using both deliberately transforms effort into progress. Each task approached with focus produces results, builds momentum, and reinforces the habit of deliberate action. Distractions are reduced, mental clarity is enhanced, and energy is applied where it produces maximum impact. Over time, consistent practice strengthens skill, reinforces identity as a disciplined individual, and ensures that daily effort contributes meaningfully to long-term goals. Mastery of focus requires repetition, reflection, and structure. Each deliberate effort to remove distractions, choose priority, and sustain attention reinforces the ability to act decisively. Momentum accumulates naturally as energy is concentrated, tasks are completed efficiently, and progress becomes visible. Focus is cultivated, maintained, and refined through conscious engagement, producing both immediate results and long-term capability. The individual who practices focus consistently develops control over attention, mastery over distractions, and the capacity to achieve meaningful goals through deliberate, high-impact action. Momentum is amplified when attention is consistently directed toward what matters most. Every act of concentrated effort compounds previous progress, strengthens skill, and reinforces the habit of deliberate engagement. Distractions are minimized, energy is applied efficiently, and achievement becomes predictable rather than accidental. The practice of focus is both practical and transformative, shaping behavior, strengthening identity, and producing continuous growth in every area where sustained attention is applied. Chapter 70: Design feedback loops to learn quickly and adjust course. Learning is most effective when it is continuous, deliberate, and informed by observation. Feedback is the mechanism that allows the mind to measure performance, recognize mistakes, and identify opportunities for improvement. Without feedback, action can become directionless, progress uncertain, and errors repeated unnecessarily. Designing feedback loops ensures that every effort produces information that can be used to adjust, refine, and accelerate growth. A well-structured loop provides timely, relevant, and actionable insights, transforming experience into learning and mistakes into stepping stones rather than obstacles. The first step in creating a feedback loop is defining the outcome you are measuring. Clear criteria for success allow observation to be precise and actionable. Ambiguous or ill-defined goals produce vague feedback that cannot guide improvement effectively. By identifying what constitutes progress, error, or completion, the individual ensures that evaluation is focused, meaningful, and useful. The feedback loop becomes a tool for refinement rather than a source of confusion. Clear metrics provide clarity, reinforce accountability, and guide deliberate adjustments in behavior or strategy. Immediate feedback strengthens learning. Delays between action and observation reduce the brain's ability to connect cause and effect. The sooner results are observed, analyzed, and applied, the faster improvement occurs. Immediate evaluation allows adjustments to be made while the context is fresh, preventing repetition of mistakes and ensuring that effective behaviors are reinforced. Quick feedback accelerates understanding and provides real-time evidence of what works and what requires modification. Observation is central to a feedback loop. Recording outcomes, noting successes, and identifying deviations from expected results create a foundation for analysis. Objective observation, free from bias or over-interpretation, ensures that information is accurate and actionable. Data collection can be formal, such as metrics, logs, or charts, or informal, through reflection and self-assessment. Both approaches provide insight into performance, revealing patterns, strengths, and weaknesses that guide the next steps. Reflection transforms feedback into understanding. Observing results alone is insufficient without deliberate consideration of their implications. Reflection involves asking questions such as why a particular outcome occurred, what behaviors influenced it, and how future attempts can be improved. This process converts raw information into practical insight that informs strategy, action, and decision-making. Reflection ensures that feedback is not ignored or misinterpreted, but actively applied to enhance performance and growth. Experimentation complements feedback loops by creating opportunities to test adjustments. When a behavior, method, or approach is modified in response to feedback, the results reveal the effectiveness of the change. Experimentation encourages adaptability, reduces fear of failure, and accelerates learning. Each iteration provides additional information, allowing refinement until the desired outcome is achieved. Feedback loops and experimentation work together to create a dynamic system where progress is guided by evidence rather than assumption. Consistency in applying feedback is essential. Sporadic observation or occasional adjustment produces uneven results and slows growth. Incorporating regular checkpoints, evaluations, and assessments ensures that learning is ongoing and systematic. Consistent engagement with feedback reinforces discipline, builds awareness of patterns, and strengthens the connection between action and result. Momentum emerges when improvements are applied continuously, producing compounding gains in skill, knowledge, and effectiveness. External feedback is valuable because it provides perspective beyond self-assessment. Mentors, peers, coaches, or colleagues offer observations that may be missed internally. Objective evaluation from others reduces blind spots, challenges assumptions, and identifies opportunities for development that would otherwise go unnoticed. Seeking external input systematically enhances learning, ensures accountability, and accelerates improvement. Feedback from diverse sources produces a richer understanding of performance and guides more precise adjustments. Self-assessment strengthens internal feedback mechanisms. Deliberate evaluation of one's own actions, decisions, and outcomes develops self-awareness and critical thinking. By comparing intentions with results, recognizing patterns, and identifying deviations, the individual creates a habit of continuous improvement. Self-assessment complements external input, ensuring that learning is both internally grounded and externally informed. The combination of self-reflection and observation from others produces a robust feedback system that supports rapid growth. Flexibility is critical when responding to feedback. Observation may reveal the need for adjustments in strategy, process, or behavior. The willingness to adapt based on evidence ensures that improvement occurs efficiently. Stubborn adherence to an ineffective approach slows progress and reinforces error. By remaining open to course correction, the individual maximizes learning, reduces wasted effort, and aligns actions with outcomes more effectively. Momentum is preserved when feedback is acted upon swiftly and decisively. Measurement enhances the precision of feedback loops. Quantifiable indicators such as time spent, error rates, output quality, or milestone completion provide clear evidence of performance. Measurement reduces ambiguity, supports objective evaluation, and clarifies whether adjustments are effective. Metrics offer a reliable basis for decision-making and ensure that refinement is guided by fact rather than perception. The integration of measurement into feedback loops strengthens learning and accelerates progress. Documentation preserves insights and informs future decisions. Recording actions, outcomes, and adjustments creates a reference for comparison and analysis. Documentation allows patterns to be identified over time, ensuring that lessons are retained and applied consistently. A written record reinforces accountability, strengthens memory, and provides evidence of growth. Feedback loops are amplified when historical information is accessible and used to inform ongoing improvement. Small, incremental adjustments compound into significant improvement. Each cycle of action, feedback, reflection, and adaptation builds skill and understanding. Progress may be gradual, but the cumulative effect is substantial. Feedback loops transform minor corrections into a powerful mechanism for sustained growth. Momentum develops as repeated cycles reinforce effective behavior, correct errors, and enhance overall competence. Error analysis is a critical component of feedback loops. Identifying the root cause of mistakes allows targeted corrections. Superficial observation may address symptoms, but not underlying issues. Understanding why an error occurred ensures that adjustments are effective and sustainable. Each error becomes a source of insight rather than a setback. Systematic evaluation of mistakes accelerates learning and prevents repetition of ineffective approaches. Goal alignment ensures that feedback informs meaningful action. Adjustments should be made in service of objectives rather than arbitrary change. By linking feedback to desired outcomes, efforts are directed toward what matters most. The feedback loop becomes a tool for strategic improvement rather than random trial and error. Alignment of observation, reflection, and adjustment with goals ensures that learning contributes directly to success. Speed of iteration matters. Rapid cycles of action, feedback, and adaptation accelerate mastery. Waiting too long to assess results delays learning and prolongs ineffective effort. Quick iteration reinforces the connection between cause and effect, producing faster understanding and more effective refinement. Repeated cycles of fast, deliberate adjustments allow the individual to progress efficiently and maintain momentum. Accountability strengthens feedback application. Sharing progress, outcomes, and adjustments with others increases motivation to act on insights. External observation creates reinforcement that ensures feedback is applied consistently. Accountability encourages transparency, reduces complacency, and supports disciplined refinement. The combination of feedback, reflection, and accountability produces a powerful system for continuous learning. Focus amplifies the effectiveness of feedback loops. Concentrating on specific actions, behaviors, or outcomes ensures that observations are accurate, relevant, and actionable. Scattered attention diminishes insight and weakens learning. Sustained focus during observation and adjustment strengthens the connection between effort and improvement, maximizing the value of each feedback cycle. Feedback loops cultivate adaptability. Regular evaluation and adjustment train the mind to respond effectively to changing conditions. The individual develops resilience, problem-solving skill, and the capacity to pivot when circumstances demand it. Continuous feedback reduces uncertainty, improves decision-making, and ensures that progress continues even in dynamic or challenging environments. Momentum grows when feedback loops are applied consistently. Each cycle of observation, reflection, and adjustment produces measurable progress that reinforces effort and strengthens confidence. Repeated engagement with feedback cultivates a mindset of improvement, ensuring that learning is ongoing rather than episodic. Skills develop, competence increases, and the ability to act decisively is enhanced through systematic feedback-driven growth. The design of effective feedback loops integrates clear metrics, observation, reflection, adaptation, and accountability. Each component reinforces the others, creating a self-sustaining system of continuous improvement. Learning accelerates because every action produces insight, every insight informs future action, and each adjustment builds cumulative competence. Momentum is amplified, mistakes become productive, and performance improves steadily through the disciplined application of feedback. Feedback loops transform action into progress, errors into insight, and experience into mastery. By observing results, reflecting on causes, experimenting with adjustments, and applying learning consistently, individuals ensure that growth is deliberate, measurable, and continuous. Each cycle strengthens understanding, enhances skill, and produces results that compound over time. Systematic use of feedback loops accelerates personal development, reinforces resilience, and ensures that every effort contributes meaningfully to long-term achievement. Chapter 80: Choose accountability partners to support follow-through and growth. Accountability is a powerful force that transforms intention into consistent action. Goals alone are often insufficient because self-motivation fluctuates and resistance arises naturally. Choosing accountability partners provides external support, reinforcement, and perspective that help sustain effort when motivation wanes. These individuals act as observers, collaborators, and challengers, ensuring that commitments are honored and progress is measurable. Accountability strengthens discipline by creating a sense of responsibility beyond the self, turning promises into tangible follow-through and increasing the likelihood of success. The process begins with selecting the right partners. Accountability partners should share a commitment to growth, possess reliability, and demonstrate honesty. Their role is not to provide judgment, but to support consistency, offer insight, and encourage persistence. Effective partners understand both the objective and the effort required, and they hold the individual to a standard that aligns with meaningful progress. The relationship must be mutually respectful, trust-based, and structured to ensure that guidance is received and action is reinforced. Clarity of expectation is essential in accountability relationships. Partners must understand the specific actions, commitments, and outcomes being tracked. Defining measurable milestones and regular check-ins ensures that progress is observable and adjustments are possible. Ambiguity weakens accountability because partners cannot provide precise feedback or support. By establishing clear parameters, both parties know what to monitor, discuss, and encourage, creating a structured framework that fosters reliability and consistency. Frequency of engagement impacts effectiveness. Regular meetings, updates, or check-ins ensure that momentum is sustained. Infrequent contact diminishes the influence of accountability and allows resistance to creep in. By committing to consistent interaction, both partners maintain focus, reinforce goals, and strengthen habits. Regular accountability creates rhythm, reduces procrastination, and provides continuous motivation to act decisively. Honest feedback is a cornerstone of accountability. Partners must communicate observations candidly, highlighting successes as well as areas for improvement. Constructive criticism provides actionable insight and helps refine strategies for achieving goals. Encouragement alone is insufficient if it ignores mistakes, missed commitments, or ineffective behavior. Honest feedback ensures that growth is guided by reality, not perception, and reinforces a culture of improvement over comfort. Mutual accountability enhances commitment. When both partners hold themselves and each other responsible, motivation increases. Sharing challenges, progress, and strategies creates a sense of solidarity and collective purpose. Both parties benefit from observation, insight, and reinforcement, producing a synergistic effect that strengthens discipline, encourages consistency, and maintains momentum. Mutual accountability creates a shared environment where effort is visible, progress is celebrated, and persistence is reinforced. Transparency strengthens the effectiveness of accountability partnerships. Open communication about successes, failures, challenges, and progress ensures that partners can provide informed guidance. Concealing difficulties undermines the system by preventing timely support and adjustment. Transparency fosters trust, reinforces integrity, and ensures that feedback is relevant, actionable, and meaningful. A culture of openness allows partners to guide each other effectively, transforming accountability into a dynamic tool for growth. Structured goals and metrics amplify accountability. Partners should track measurable indicators such as task completion, consistency, or milestone achievement. Objective evidence provides clarity, reduces ambiguity, and allows accurate assessment of progress. Metrics produce a tangible representation of effort, reinforcing both personal responsibility and partner oversight. Accountability becomes more than encouragement. It becomes a system of observable outcomes that support deliberate growth and sustainable follow-through. Encouragement and reinforcement are important complements to oversight. Accountability partners provide motivation, recognition, and validation that sustain effort during challenges or setbacks. Positive reinforcement amplifies confidence, maintains engagement, and reinforces the habit of consistent action. While honesty ensures realism, encouragement ensures persistence. Balancing feedback with support creates an environment that strengthens capability, resilience, and commitment to goals. Shared commitment strengthens focus. Knowing that someone else is observing, supporting, and monitoring progress increases the tendency to act consistently. Accountability partners create external pressure that motivates discipline, reduces procrastination, and reinforces priority actions. Awareness that commitments are visible transforms effort from internal negotiation into observable practice, ensuring that momentum is maintained even when internal motivation fluctuates. Flexibility is necessary in accountability relationships. Life circumstances, priorities, and energy levels change, and partners must adjust expectations accordingly. Maintaining structured communication and measurement while allowing realistic adaptation ensures that accountability supports rather than obstructs progress. Flexibility prevents discouragement, preserves trust, and allows the relationship to evolve alongside goals, maintaining relevance and effectiveness. Observation and evaluation reinforce learning. Accountability partners can identify patterns, highlight strengths, and detect recurring challenges. Their perspective provides insight that may be missed through self-assessment alone. By integrating external observation with reflection, individuals gain clarity on what works, what hinders progress, and what adjustments are necessary. Feedback loops within accountability partnerships accelerate growth and ensure that actions are informed by evidence rather than assumption. Commitment to regular reporting strengthens habits. Sharing updates, documenting progress, or discussing challenges on a consistent schedule reinforces discipline. The expectation of review encourages timely action, reduces procrastination, and maintains focus on priority tasks. Reporting creates tangible evidence of effort, reinforcing accountability and ensuring that goals remain central to daily behavior. Consistent communication builds reliability, trust, and the habit of deliberate execution. Accountability partners can challenge limiting beliefs. They provide perspective, question assumptions, and encourage stretching beyond comfort zones. This external stimulation encourages risk-taking, experimentation, and exploration of new strategies. By challenging internal resistance, partners accelerate growth, increase confidence, and ensure that avoidance does not undermine potential. Constructive challenge motivates action, reinforces courage, and strengthens the mindset necessary for continuous improvement. Mutual goal alignment enhances the effectiveness of accountability. When both partners share similar aspirations or values, support becomes more relevant, insightful, and impactful. Alignment ensures that advice, feedback, and encouragement are grounded in understanding and experience, increasing the practical utility of partnership. Shared objectives create collaboration rather than comparison, fostering an environment where growth is reinforced, motivation is maintained, and progress is sustained. Reflection within accountability amplifies learning. Partners can discuss not only what was accomplished, but also why actions succeeded or failed. Evaluating decisions, behaviors, and outcomes provides clarity, informs adjustments, and reinforces understanding. Reflection ensures that each interaction produces insight, strengthens self-awareness, and translates experience into deliberate improvement. Feedback becomes actionable knowledge, and effort becomes refined strategy rather than repetitive motion. Support during challenges sustains momentum. Accountability partners provide reassurance, perspective, and practical guidance when obstacles arise. Their presence prevents discouragement, encourages persistence, and reinforces commitment to action. Continuous support ensures that setbacks are temporary, obstacles are addressed strategically, and progress continues. The partnership transforms struggle into opportunity for growth, reinforcing the habit of acting consistently despite difficulty. Celebrating progress reinforces consistency. Recognizing achievements, even minor, strengthens morale, reinforces effort, and motivates continued engagement. Accountability partners amplify recognition, ensuring that milestones are acknowledged and momentum is maintained. Celebration reinforces identity as someone who follows through, completes commitments, and advances toward meaningful goals. Positive reinforcement strengthens the relationship between action and outcome, enhancing sustained effort. Accountability creates a structure that enhances efficiency. By externalizing oversight, partners reduce reliance on fluctuating self-discipline alone. Decisions, effort, and focus are guided by shared standards, observation, and reinforcement. This structure reduces wasted energy, ensures follow-through, and produces measurable outcomes. Momentum emerges naturally as consistent engagement, feedback, and reinforcement interact to create a disciplined, sustainable path toward achievement. Choosing accountability partners transforms ambition into action, goals into measurable outcomes, and intention into consistency. Partners provide observation, feedback, reinforcement, and challenge, ensuring that effort is directed, deliberate, and effective. Momentum is maintained because responsibility extends beyond the self. Feedback is continuous, and support reinforces persistence. Through structured engagement, honest evaluation, and mutual commitment, accountability strengthens discipline, accelerates growth, and ensures that follow-through becomes habitual rather than sporadic. The combination of clarity, support, challenge, and feedback produces sustainable progress. Accountability partners hold the individual to a standard of action, reinforce commitment, and provide insight that accelerates learning. Habits are strengthened, momentum is preserved, and resilience is developed through consistent engagement. Over time, the system ensures that goals are achieved not by luck or fleeting motivation, but through structured, deliberate, and supported effort. Accountability transforms potential into measurable results. Each commitment shared, action reported, and insight discussed produces a cycle of reinforcement that strengthens skill, confidence, and persistence. The presence of a reliable partner ensures that follow-through is consistent, challenges are addressed proactively, and growth is accelerated. Momentum is maintained because action is observed, evaluated, and reinforced systematically, creating a practical, powerful framework for personal development and achievement. Chapter 9c. Measure progress daily to stay honest and motivate effort. Progress is not an abstract concept. It becomes real only when observed, recorded, and evaluated consistently. Daily measurement provides clarity, ensures accountability, and transforms effort into tangible evidence of advancement. Without tracking, effort can feel aimless, and accomplishments may go unnoticed. Measuring progress allows the mind to recognize growth, identify gaps, and sustain motivation. Each day offers a new opportunity to observe action, assess outcomes, and make adjustments that reinforce improvement. Recording progress strengthens focus, ensures honesty with oneself, and creates a visible trail of achievement that fuels continued effort. Daily assessment begins with defining measurable indicators. These can take the form of completed tasks, milestones reached, skills acquired, or habits reinforced. Specific metrics provide concrete evidence of movement toward goals. Ambiguous evaluation produces uncertainty, weakens motivation, and undermines accountability. By establishing clear standards of measurement, each day's effort can be evaluated objectively, allowing successes to be celebrated and shortcomings to be addressed promptly. Measurement converts abstract intention into observable action and empowers deliberate improvement. Consistency in tracking is essential. Daily measurement ensures that progress is monitored in real time rather than retrospectively, which reduces accuracy and diminishes the ability to adjust. When evaluation becomes habitual, the mind anticipates outcomes, reinforces productive behavior, and prevents procrastination. Small daily insights accumulate into a detailed understanding of performance, revealing patterns of strength, weakness, and opportunity. Over time, consistent measurement produces a powerful compounding effect, amplifying momentum and accelerating growth. Honesty is a critical component of effective measurement. It is tempting to overestimate achievements, rationalize incomplete effort, or ignore setbacks. True progress requires confronting reality directly, acknowledging both successes and failures. Honest evaluation highlights where effort was effective, where adjustments are needed, and what habits support or hinder advancement. This practice cultivates integrity, strengthens self-discipline, and ensures that decisions about action are grounded in fact rather than perception. Daily measurement provides immediate feedback that guides refinement. Observing outcomes regularly allows for timely adjustments in strategy, effort, or behavior. Waiting for long-term evaluation delays insight and prolongs ineffective approaches. Real-time monitoring ensures that actions remain aligned with objectives, problems are addressed promptly, and improvements are applied continuously. Feedback from daily observation enhances learning, strengthens execution, and maintains momentum toward meaningful results. Visual representation of progress enhances motivation. Recording achievements in a journal, spreadsheet, or checklist provides a concrete illustration of advancement. Seeing the accumulation of effort reinforces belief in capability and highlights the impact of consistent action. Visualization of progress motivates continued engagement, fosters pride in effort, and reinforces the habit of deliberate execution. Tangible evidence transforms abstract ambition into observable reality, making growth feel real and attainable. Breaking down large objectives into smaller measurable components increases the effectiveness of daily evaluation. Complex goals can feel overwhelming and difficult to assess, but subdividing them into specific, trackable actions provides clarity. Each completed step serves as an indicator of movement, producing immediate reinforcement and insight. This approach converts massive undertakings into manageable daily commitments, sustaining focus, confidence, and momentum. Incremental tracking ensures that effort accumulates toward larger objectives in a structured and deliberate manner. Reflection strengthens the value of measurement. Beyond recording outcomes, analyzing what worked, what failed, and why provides insight that directs future action. Daily reflection ensures that successes are repeated, errors are corrected, and strategies are optimized. Observing patterns over time identifies habits, routines, or choices that support consistent advancement. Reflection transforms simple measurement into meaningful learning, ensuring that each day's effort contributes to lasting growth. Prioritizing key metrics ensures that measurement is purposeful. Not every action requires monitoring. Focusing on indicators with the greatest impact on goals maximizes effort and insight. Identifying high-value actions to track reduces noise, increases clarity, and ensures that attention is applied where it produces the most meaningful outcomes. Measurement aligned with priorities reinforces deliberate action, strengthens decision-making, and prevents wasted effort on low-impact tasks. Accountability enhances the effectiveness of daily measurement. Sharing progress with a trusted partner, mentor, or community reinforces honesty, increases motivation, and ensures follow-through. External observation complements self-assessment, reduces blind spots, and provides perspective that strengthens understanding of results. Accountability transforms tracking from a passive record into an active system of reinforcement, learning, and encouragement. Daily measurement encourages resilience. When obstacles, mistakes, or setbacks occur, recorded evidence of past progress provides perspective and motivation. Observing cumulative effort reinforces the idea that temporary failures do not define overall growth. This perspective fosters persistence, reduces discouragement, and reinforces the habit of continuous engagement. Momentum is maintained because each day's record reminds the individual that progress, though sometimes incremental, is real and cumulative. Measurement enables strategic adjustment. Tracking outcomes provides insight into what methods, behaviors, or approaches are effective and which require modification. This allows effort to be redirected efficiently, mistakes to be corrected, and opportunities to be leveraged more effectively. Daily evaluation transforms uncertainty into actionable knowledge, ensuring that every decision about effort is informed by concrete evidence. Continuous adjustment based on observation accelerates progress and strengthens the likelihood of achieving meaningful goals. Time allocation is clarified through measurement. Recording how time is spent reveals patterns of productivity, distraction, or inefficiency. Observation identifies areas where energy is misapplied and supports conscious redirection toward high-value actions. Monitoring daily time use increases focus, ensures alignment with priorities, and maximizes the impact of each hour. Structured attention to how effort is distributed strengthens habits, reinforces discipline, and maintains momentum. Motivation is reinforced by observing cumulative progress. Each recorded step, task completed, or milestone reached validates effort and demonstrates capability. The visible accumulation of results provides proof that daily action produces tangible outcomes, encouraging continued engagement. Momentum is amplified as each day's effort contributes to an observable trajectory of improvement, reinforcing belief in the process and commitment to consistent action. Tracking progress reduces the risk of complacency. Daily observation exposes stagnation, highlights areas needing attention, and ensures that effort is not diluted by assumption or habit. Measurement keeps the mind honest, reinforces accountability, and maintains vigilance over the quality and quantity of action. This practice ensures that growth is deliberate rather than accidental, and that effort remains directed toward meaningful objectives. Integration of reflection, measurement, and adjustment produces a self-sustaining cycle of growth. Each day's observation informs the next day's action, creating a continuous loop of learning and refinement. Momentum is preserved because insights are applied immediately, behaviors are optimized, and progress compounds naturally. Daily measurement is not merely recording, it becomes a tool for deliberate, intelligent, and accelerated advancement. Measurement strengthens self-awareness. Tracking outcomes reveals patterns of behavior, energy, and focus that influence results. Awareness of tendencies, strengths, and weaknesses allows the individual to capitalize on advantages and address limitations effectively. Self-knowledge enhances decision-making, prioritization, and efficiency, producing deliberate improvement that builds both competence and confidence. Celebrating progress reinforces engagement. Observing even small advancements provides psychological reinforcement, strengthens motivation, and solidifies habits of action. Recognition of achievement, supported by daily measurement, validates effort, fosters consistency, and encourages persistence in the pursuit of larger goals. Each recorded accomplishment contributes to a sense of competence, control, and personal mastery. Momentum grows as measurement becomes habitual. Daily tracking transforms abstract goals into concrete evidence of effort, learning, and achievement. Each day's record informs adjustment, reinforces honesty, and strengthens motivation. The accumulation of small, deliberate observations produces exponential effects, demonstrating that sustained progress is the product of consistent, measurable action. Measuring progress daily transforms effort into tangible results. Observation ensures accountability, reinforces discipline, and provides insight for continuous refinement. Momentum is maintained as each day produces evidence of growth, learning, and achievement. By committing to daily evaluation, individuals align effort with outcomes, ensure that goals remain central, and sustain motivation over the long term. Daily measurement is the practical tool that converts intention into action, resistance into insight, and effort into consistent, meaningful progress. Chapter 100: Sustain momentum through rest, reflection, and consistent forward action. Sustaining momentum is the foundation of lasting achievement. Progress is not a single event, but a continuous flow of action, reflection, and recovery. Without maintaining energy and clarity, even the most disciplined efforts can stall. Consistency in forward action ensures that effort compounds over time, producing growth that is steady and measurable. Momentum is preserved when the mind, body, and strategy work in harmony, allowing each day's action to build on previous success. Rest is a vital component of sustaining momentum. Recovery replenishes energy, restores focus, and strengthens resilience. Without adequate rest, effort becomes inefficient, mistakes increase, and motivation declines. Intentional rest is not idleness, it is a strategic pause that ensures the capacity to engage fully in subsequent tasks. Sleep, breaks, and periods of mental detachment allow the mind to process experience, consolidate learning, and prepare for continued action. Recognizing rest as essential rather than optional transforms it into a tool for maintaining performance rather than a barrier to productivity. Reflection provides clarity and perspective. Pausing to review achievements, challenges, and strategies allows insight to emerge. Understanding what worked, what failed, and why informs future decisions and prevents repetition of ineffective approaches. Reflection ensures that action remains deliberate, aligned with goals, and guided by evidence rather than habit or assumption. This process reinforces learning, deepens self-awareness, and strengthens the ability to adjust course without losing momentum. Forward action is reinforced by deliberate planning. Each step, however small, contributes to cumulative progress when guided by intention and purpose. Consistent movement toward objectives prevents stagnation, builds confidence, and maintains engagement. Daily decisions about what to do next, informed by reflection and prior experience, ensure that effort remains productive. Action becomes a habit when repetition is paired with conscious purpose, sustaining energy and reinforcing growth over time. Small incremental efforts are key to long-term momentum. Attempting large leaps consistently can lead to burnout, while manageable, deliberate steps accumulate into meaningful achievement. Breaking tasks into achievable units maintains motivation, reduces resistance, and allows measurable progress to be observed regularly. Each small success reinforces confidence, sustains engagement, and creates a rhythm of accomplishment that supports continued forward movement. Adaptation strengthens momentum. Conditions, challenges, and opportunities shift constantly, and rigid adherence to an initial plan can stall progress. Regularly assessing circumstances and adjusting strategies ensures that effort remains effective and aligned with objectives. Flexibility allows the individual to respond to obstacles, leverage opportunities, and sustain energy in a changing environment. Momentum is preserved when actions evolve intelligently rather than remaining fixed in outdated assumptions. Consistency in habits reinforces forward motion. Regular engagement in productive routines reduces the mental energy required to initiate action, making sustained effort more automatic and less reliant on willpower alone. Discipline becomes embedded through repetition, allowing energy to focus on refinement, learning, and strategy rather than initiating effort. Habitual action strengthens momentum by creating predictable patterns that ensure progress continues even under stress or distraction. Energy management is critical to maintaining momentum. Physical stamina, mental focus, and emotional resilience must be supported through nutrition, exercise, hydration, and stress management. Attention to these factors prevents depletion, reduces mistakes, and increases the capacity for sustained effort. Energy is amplified when it is cultivated intentionally, allowing consistent engagement in high-value actions without compromising quality or endurance. Focus amplifies the impact of sustained action. Directing attention deliberately toward high-priority tasks ensures that each step produces meaningful results. Distraction, scattered effort, or misaligned priorities dilute progress and slow momentum. Practicing focused engagement reinforces efficiency, clarity, and the habit of deliberate execution. Momentum grows when energy and attention are concentrated on tasks that matter most, producing visible advancement and reinforcing the cycle of growth. Feedback supports continual momentum. Monitoring outcomes, reflecting on progress, and adjusting strategies based on observation ensures that effort is effective and directed. Feedback loops prevent stagnation by highlighting areas needing refinement and confirming what is working well. By integrating evaluation into the process of daily action, the individual maintains alignment with objectives, corrects inefficiencies promptly, and sustains forward motion without wasted effort. Mindfulness enhances sustained effort by fostering presence and awareness. Attention to the current task, awareness of internal states, and recognition of environmental influences allow the individual to engage fully and respond intelligently to challenges. Mindful engagement reduces errors, increases learning from experience, and preserves clarity of purpose. Momentum is strengthened when each action is deliberate, conscious, and informed by insight rather than reactive or habitual responses. Recovery periods support mental resilience. Short pauses between high-intensity effort, reflection on lessons learned, or moments of mental detachment prevent fatigue, refresh creativity, and reinforce commitment. Strategic recovery allows the individual to maintain a high level of performance over extended periods, ensuring that momentum is not compromised by exhaustion or cognitive depletion. Rested minds act decisively, learn efficiently, and sustain consistent action. Celebration of progress reinforces motivation and commitment. Recognizing accomplishments, whether large or small, provides psychological reinforcement, strengthens identity as a competent and persistent individual, and validates the value of effort. Acknowledgement of success maintains morale, encourages continued engagement, and reduces the likelihood of burnout. Celebrating milestones embeds a positive feedback mechanism that supports sustainable forward action. Forward action is strengthened by clear intention. Knowing exactly what the next step is, why it matters, and how it contributes to larger objectives ensures that energy is applied purposefully. Each deliberate step reinforces direction, reduces wasted effort, and compounds previous achievements. Clarity of intention transforms momentum from mere activity into meaningful progression, ensuring that effort is efficient, impactful, and aligned with long-term goals. Planning for obstacles preserves momentum. Anticipating potential challenges, preparing contingency strategies, and creating adaptive solutions ensures that action is uninterrupted by inevitable difficulties. Momentum is sustained when setbacks are addressed proactively rather than reactively. Preparation transforms challenges into manageable adjustments rather than threats to consistency, allowing energy and focus to remain aligned with objectives. Integration of rest, reflection, and action creates a self-reinforcing cycle. Rest allows recovery and mental clarity, reflection converts experience into insight, and forward action applies learning to produce results. This cycle maintains energy, enhances decision-making, and ensures that progress continues at a steady pace. Each component supports the others, producing sustained momentum that is resilient to fatigue, distraction, and resistance. Resilience is strengthened through consistent forward action. Regular engagement with effort, paired with reflection and recovery, develops persistence, adaptability, and confidence. Challenges are approached with preparation, setbacks are analyzed constructively, and motivation is maintained through observable progress. Momentum grows as each action reinforces the capacity to continue despite difficulty, creating a foundation of sustained performance. Prioritization ensures that momentum is applied where it matters most. Identifying high-impact tasks, focusing energy on essential objectives, and eliminating distractions maximizes the effect of each step. Action directed by priority produces meaningful results, reinforces engagement, and sustains growth. Momentum is not merely movement, but deliberate, productive progression that compounds over time when attention is concentrated on what matters most. Accountability supports continuous forward motion. Sharing progress, commitments, and lessons learned with others reinforces persistence, provides feedback, and sustains focus. External observation strengthens the discipline to act consistently, ensures follow-through, and maintains clarity of purpose. Accountability amplifies momentum by combining personal effort with structured reinforcement from trusted partners or communities. The integration of these practices ensures that momentum is maintained over the long term. Rest replenishes energy, reflection informs action, and consistent forward effort applies learning and insight. Together they produce sustainable growth, resilience, and steady progress toward meaningful objectives. Momentum becomes a natural outcome of disciplined engagement, deliberate planning, and intentional recovery. Sustaining momentum is a balance of action, rest, and insight. Each day offers an opportunity to engage, learn, and adapt. By prioritizing energy, focusing attention, reflecting on experience, and applying knowledge consistently, progress continues without interruption. Momentum compounds over time because effort is directed, intentional, and reinforced by observation, accountability, and recovery. The individual who practices this balance consistently achieves growth that is sustainable, measurable, and transformative. The practice of maintaining momentum transforms ordinary effort into lasting achievement. Deliberate action, informed by reflection, supported by rest, and reinforced through accountability, produces continuous advancement. Habits of sustained engagement create resilience, clarity, and competence. Each step, evaluated and applied with intention, strengthens skill, builds confidence, and compounds progress over time. Momentum is preserved through discipline, awareness, and the consistent application of deliberate, high-value effort, ensuring that long-term goals are realized efficiently and effectively.